Well, these are some images that I generated using a free and open source AI model called Flux to clean with 9 billion parameters. And as you can see, the image quality is pretty good and there are plenty of styles that you can generate with this local model. And some people even say that this is basically Gemini and not a banana, but you can run it completely offline on your machine. And of course, my favorite feature of this model is you can edit images with a text-based instruction. You can colorize it, you can change something on the photo, or you can remove something or change the mood or the feel of the scene. Like in this case, I switch the scene into a snowy weather, and I think it looks quite accurate. So this model actually has been around for quite a while, but I still think that this is a gold standard when it comes to a local AI model. And there are two variations, like there is the 4 billion parameters, but there is also the bigger one with 9 billion parameters, and you can run it on consumer hardware. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can download, install and run the model locally on your computer, and I'm trying this to be as easy to follow as possible. Now, this is not my first time talking about this model. Previously, I have published a video on how you can download and install this model using a tool called 12GP, and that's actually a great tool to use if you want to run the model. But there is also another option called Stable Diffusion Web UI, and to some extent I would say this is even easier to use. And also this whole package is designed to be used as an AI image model operator, so you can generate images using text, and also you can generate or edit images, and there are plenty of other tools that you can access. And of course, this is going to be a lot simpler than, let's say, downloading and creating a spaghetti of workflow that is Comfy UI. This is not something that I can recommend. So if you are not a technical person, I do recommend to just use Stable Diffusion Web UI to run the Flux to clean model. But how do you get this model, or how do you get this app? Well, my favorite package manager that's basically one-click install is Stability Matrix. So search on Google for Stability Matrix, and you can open this GitHub page, and you can download this app on your computer. So just download the version based on your system, and then you can install the program normally. Actually, I'll just run the setup file for Stability Matrix so I can show you the onboarding process of this app. It's essentially a sort of package manager, and it's quite similar to Pinocchio AI. I mean, if you have ever heard that, you probably know that it's going to be quite similar. So here, I do recommend to enable portable mode and then click continue. This is optional, you can skip it, and you can also skip this onboarding process. So basically, the package that we want to install, or the AI app that we want to install, is Stable Diffusion Web UI. So to get that, you can open the sidebar and then go to packages and then click add package. And the one that we want to install is Stable Diffusion Web UI Reforged, actually Forge, not Reforged, Stable Diffusion Web UI Forge Neo. So perhaps there's something here that you need to know. As you can see here, the label says it is NVIDIA, but why not using something like the Reforged variation, which supports CPU, NVIDIA, AMD, and even macOS? Well, that package, according to the GitHub page of the package, it says that it is not able to run the Flux model. So in fact, if you want to run the Flux model, you have to use Forge Neo. So that's the one that I actually use. And yeah, it is able to run some modern AI image models. So you have to use the Neo version if you want to run the Flux model on your device. So unfortunately, we cannot use the Reforged variation, even though I do really like it. In fact, I actually have made a video on how you can install it, and it does support plenty of different hardware, and you can check that tutorial on my channel. Okay, anyway, let's continue. You can open it, and then you can click install and just wait until the installation process is finished. So basically, after you have done installing the model, what you need to do is you need to download. Actually, we haven't downloaded a model, we just downloaded the AI app, and then we still need to download the model. So you can download the model by navigating to model browser, and then you can select the model type to be checkpoint, and then the base model or the filter here is gonna be Stable Diffusion Web UI. Okay, I don't see the option because this is actually a slightly older version of Stability Matrix. Let me just open the new one. Actually have the one installed, so let me just open the real app that I have. Okay, so this is the model browser on the new version of Stability Matrix, and you can open the checkpoint and then enable Flux to Clean or Flux to Clean 9B depending on your hardware. And then you can download one model to your computer. So there are plenty of variations, and they have different optimization or particular style or goal. And in this case, I actually have downloaded this model called Flux to Clean with 9 billion parameters and 8-bit precision. So it's not the full model, it has been compressed, but there is basically no difference because the compression was really good, and it actually slashed the size of the model by 50%. And I think that's actually no-brainer to use this variation. So this is the one that I use. I personally haven't tried the 4 billion parameters version, but you can give it a shot if you have a computer with limited hardware. So after you have downloaded the model, unfortunately, we still cannot use the model. So unlike older models like the Stable Diffusion model, where it's just one unified file that you can run on the Stable Diffusion Web UI Neo. Unfortunately, for the Flux model, there are 2 more files that we need to download, and it's not here. So to get those 2 files, you can navigate to this page. Don't worry, I'm going to provide the link of this page in the description down below. And yeah, ironically, it's a page from Comfy UI, the very tool that we want to avoid, but we need something from this page. So if you scroll down a bit, you'll see that there is a section that says Flux to Clean 4 billion parameters model downloads, and these are the files that you can download. But for me, I'll just skip to the 9 billion version. And so we want to download the text encoder and also the VAE or variational autoencoder. So that's the 2 files that we need to download from this page. And of course, you have to download depending on if you're using 9 billion or 4 billion parameters. And by the way, it's also possible to get the model from this page. So earlier, I just showed you how you can download the model. You can do it from the model browser in Stability Matrix, but it is also possible to get the model from this page. It is definitely one option that you can try. And if you are planning to use the model from this page, I do recommend to use the distilled version because it is smaller, and I would say the quality is a bit better. Okay, so after that, after you have downloaded the 2 files, which is the text encoder and the VAE, then I'm going to show you where you can move that file into the directory that later can be read by this tool, by Stable Diffusion Web UI. So let me just show you my file explorer. Okay, so I have the Flux to VAE and then Quen 3 8 billion parameters. This is actually the text encoder. I'm going to open another page and I'm going to navigate to the location where I install Stability Matrix, which is this directory. And then I'm going to open, I think it's Stability Matrix right here. All right, and data, and then it's under packages, Stable Diffusion Web UI Neo. And then let's go to models. And there you go. I'm going to put the windows side by side. Okay, so I'll just copy or just move the file from this into this. So for the VAE, I have to put this into the VAE folder. Okay, just cut and paste or copy and paste. And then for the text encoder file, I'm going to move it to the text encoder folder. All right, really good. So this is going to be the resting place of those 2 files. Now we are ready to start using this tool, Stable Diffusion Web UI Neo. So to launch the app, you can open Stability Matrix again. And oh, I forgot to mention that if you are planning to download this model from ComfyUI from this page, you can store the model later in this folder called Stable Diffusion, and then SD. So you can store that for the Flux model right here in this folder in case you are planning to use this version. But anyway, let me just go back to Stability Metrics, and we are going to launch Stable Diffusion Web UI Forge Neo. Click Launch. And just wait for maybe a few seconds for this app to be launched. It's gonna be open on your browser, but of course it is totally local. It doesn't need internet connection, and everything that will be created will be stored on your device. It's not gonna be shared by anyone anywhere. Okay, so right here in this nice UI, which I think yeah, there are plenty of buttons and knobs that you can play around, but I would say this is much more manageable than ComfyUI. Okay, so for the UI preset, since we are using the Clean variation, you can select Clean. You can also use Flux, but I think it's just better to use Clean. And then for the model, you can navigate to the Flux to Clean 9B or 4B, depending on the model that you have downloaded. And then for the VAE and text encoder, well, this is something that you have to select manually. It's not going to appear automatically. So you have to select the VAE file and also the text encoder. This is something that I actually forgot the first time I'm using this. So make sure that you have included or selected those two files before creating anything. And now, we are ready to start generating a picture. So I'm going to use this prompt, and what I like about Flux is that when it comes to prompting, it is not as technical as Stable Diffusion, which is another AI model. So you don't have to specify like the camera settings, the ISO, the depth of field, and some other settings. You can just use your description, your plain English language to generate a picture, which I think is actually a nice improvement. And of course, you can mess around with the sampling steps, with the sampling method, the size of the picture, and the CFG, and you know, there are gazillion amounts of items that you can modify, but I'll just stick with the default setting. And then just click Generate and just wait for the GPU on your device to start kicking, and it will start generating the picture. So for the first time, it's going to be somewhat slow, but after that, when it has been initialized, you can generate the next picture in just maybe less than 10 seconds, I would say, and some even 5 seconds depending on your hardware. In fact, if you go back to Stability Metrics, you can see that it's running. So there's the progress that we can see. And there you go. So that's a nice picture of an eagle. And if you do like the picture, you can right click and then set the image to your computer. Now, I'm going to send another prompt. So this one is going to be different. I just want to show you that it's going to be faster after the first image. Okay, so just wait. And it's going to be slow if you use a bigger resolution or higher sampling steps, or maybe using different settings that are not designed for this model. So that's something to know. Now I'm going to download this picture, and I'm going to I'm going to navigate to image, which is basically an image editing tool. I'm going to upload that file right here, and I'll tell AI to change the time setting to night. Send a message again, and let's just wait for the result. Okay, so this is the result. It's definitely a different time, although to be honest, if you ask me if this is exactly what I really wanted, it's not quite, because it's kind of bright. But when it comes to editing, I do recommend to make the prompt to be as detailed as possible, because I guess the model is not as advanced as, let's say, GPT 1.5 or Gemini Nano Banana. But again, for a model that you can run on consumer hardware, this is really great. So that's essentially how you can run the model. And of course, there are other things that I haven't mentioned in this video, but that will make the video to be too long. But essentially now you have a local Nano Banana on your computer that you can use to generate and of course edit images. And I think that's the two use cases where people using AI a lot. So I hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next one.